The regular beer project looks at some red potatoes that I fried and some yellow onions and two juicy jumbos with Vermont cheddar cheese chunks on there. Well, what we're looking at is Pabst Blue Ribbon. My viewers, they checked me, boy, and one called me out and checked me and said, I noticed you never did a video for a lot of smoke Pabst Blue Ribbon on your regular beer project. Ooh, whoa. And I was like, what? This guy, what is he talking about? So I looked it up and I said, oh, he got me. I mean, they watch my stuff carefully. They're like, hey, I noticed you never did a video for Schlitz Blue Bull, Schlitz Ice Bull from a 16-ounce can on a Wednesday morning with a food pairing that included Vidalia onions. And I'm like, I was hoping you wouldn't notice that. Okay, so I was at Dornak's today in Metairie, and they had it for $4.99 a six-pack, so I bought it. Pabst Blue Ribbon was started, already prayed, okay? I got some of this Louisiana habanero sauce. I remember when I first tried it, I was like, oh, it's so hot. Now I've gotten used to it, and that kind of goes along with the article I read about the hop situation, the IPA situation, where they're kind of messing up the whole deal with just everything's got to be intensely hoppy, and it says like a heroin addict chasing the dragon. They're never going to have that first high like they did, and that you build up a tolerance, or you get used to the hoppiness, the bitterness, and then it becomes dull, and then it denudes the whole style. Now, Pabst, you wouldn't have to deal with that because it's not too bitter. It's so mild. Look, no kind of head hardly, but it's a wide brim Pabst glass that I bought at a flea market. I got 3 different Pabst. We call them schooners here. You might say goblet. It smells so much like a stereotypical American beer. Now, Pabst did send me this shirt over 10 years ago. I'd written them an email, so I just want to let you know I like drinking your beer, and they were like, oh, thank you. And they sent me bumper stickers and keychain bottle cap openers, and one of these caps, not a cap. I bought those caps. They were giving these caps away at different events, actually. I bought one of them, but I think this one did. And they sent me a bunch of cool stuff, so I said, alright, I'll tell people to drink Pabst. And there are some places in New Orleans that have it on draft now. 4.74% alcohol. It's pretty mild. Just a little bit above Miller High Life, which is 4.6. The flavor is so standard. It's sweet, grainy. It's what most people think of when they think of regular beer, at least. Now, your light beer drinkers are going to find it. I just know something there. I say, that's nasty. Well, because it has flavor. But people that are old enough to remember the old days, over 40 years ago, that was the standard. The light beer paradigm shift that changed people's idea of what beer tasted like. The Pabst family, from what I remember, didn't really own the company very long. was bought by the Best family, and it was Jacob Best's beer. And then it won the Blue Ribbon at the 1893 World's Fair, and that's a long time to keep pushing that metal, but it just was famous for that. And they used to tie little silk ribbons to the beer, and Pabst is very popular in China, and there are some specialty bottles of Pabst you can buy that actually have a cloth ribbon on them. This one has a paper ribbon. These are some variants from the past. Pabst Ice, Pabst Genuine Draft. Pabst is hot, so I haven't delayed it. If you look on the Pabst website, the beer has won numerous awards, bronze, silver, and gold at the World Beer Cup and Great American Beer Festival, and plus other competitions. So it has won many since 1893. Within the style is sort of a standard, kind of a baseline you could use for gauging, and also for rating other beers, because oftentimes, not most of the time, but pretty regularly, you'll drink an expensive craft beer, I know I have, and they're good and they're enjoyable and they have unique flavors and etc. But they're 3, 4, 5 times as much as this. But when you think about it long enough, you start thinking to yourself, it's really not better than Pabst Blue Ribbon. And if I'm paying this kind of money, why would I buy it if I can get Pabst Blue Ribbon for $10 a 12-pack or $4.99 a 6-pack, and sometimes it'll be on sale for much cheaper. So, I mean, why would I buy it? Where's the value? And there's no point. I mean, there's no argument there, I don't think. Of course, I drink a lot of craft beers, obviously. I just feel like I want to get my money's worth. There are some places that have it on draft, not around here that I'm aware of, but in New Orleans, which I'm 20 miles west of New Orleans, but in New Orleans, Harry's Bar, I know Carrollton Station has it on draft right off of Carrollton Avenue. When I was in Denver, Colorado, there was like I was calling it like a hobo bar. Around the corner from the bus station and the Coors Field, and they had big tall glasses, must have been 20-ounce glasses of Pabst Blue Ribbon on draft for $1. I drank 2. It was very refreshing because it was extremely hot in that summer of 1999 in Denver. So if you see that I've missed some other regular beers in the Regular Beer Project, I wouldn't be shocked. It's not a review, I just talk about the beers. I've been drinking Pabst Blue Ribbon since 1997, 96, excuse me, and I've enjoyed it. Miller does most of their brewing today, not all of it, most of it. They don't do any of their own brewing, they sold off their breweries. But that's about to change because Pabst announced that they're going to, around the country at different locations they own, they're going to reopen little mini breweries, like microbreweries. I think they use the term boutique breweries, and they're going to brew beer to sell there fresh. And one of the things they're going to sell is Andecker, which was a Pabst all malt specialty brand, craft beer basically, that Pabst introduced in 1939. Andecker made with water, barley malt, hops, and yeast, no corn or rice adjunct, and it was very expensive, but at the time there was like a misunderstanding or not an appreciation of the craft beer concept in America, so it ended up dying out probably in the early 80s. And it's interesting because if the consumer had caught on to the more specialty beers when the major brewers were making these beers initially, like Erlanger from Schlitz, which was another one of those type things using Klage's hops, Klage's malt, and special imported Hallertau hops, you wonder if the craft beer movement would not have in fact developed from the major breweries instead of the smaller companies, but it's all, you know, theory. I think that's it. There was something else I wanted to bring up, I can't remember. I'm sure it was quite important. So thank you for watching this, the Regular Beer Project episode. And if you see one I didn't cover, let me know and we'll cover it again and again and again.